If you want to sell items on eBay, you have to learn how to take good photos first. Luckily, it's not that difficult or expensive to take quality photos that are actually going to convert to sales. In today's video, I'm going to share my top 10 tips that I use to take photos for the eBay platform. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you my exact photo setup that I use every day as an everything seller on the eBay platform. Number one, a clean background. This is an absolute must if you want to sell items on eBay. No buyer wants to see your dirty laundry or your dirty feet in the photo. These are not only distractions for the buyer that's looking at the item, but they also show that you are not a professional seller on the platform. I personally always use a white or gray background, just depending on the kind of item that I'm selling. This plain background keeps the focus on the actual item I'm selling rather than the cluttered mess that some people use as their background. I personally do not like the fake AI backgrounds. That's just a personal preference for me, but I know when I'm buying a pre-owned item, I care more about the actual condition of that item rather than how it's being displayed in a AI background. I personally find that there's too much clutter in those photos and it's too distracting from the actual item I'm purchasing. But at the end of the day, do not overthink this. When I first started selling on the eBay platform, I simply put my items on a few sheets of white computer paper, and that was my clean background. I would also occasionally use my wooden floor to photograph larger items that didn't fit on computer sheets. And honestly, that's all you really need is a clean floor to photograph your items. As long as it's a clean background and not too distracting, that's all the buyer actually cares about. Number two, good lighting. This is something that we all seem to struggle with, whether it's shadows, whether it's reflections, or whether it's getting the right actual color in the photograph. It all comes down to what kind of lighting you're using. Now, me personally, I've used a bunch of different kinds of lights, and I ended up settling on these umbrella lights that you can see behind me. I've used ring lights, I've used natural lights, I've used different light bulbs inside the room, but those umbrella lights are the ones that I have personally found that have helped me remove shadows, show the item in a very well lit environment while not distorting the color of the items too much. I personally love those lights because they come with a remote that you can adjust the different brightnesses and the different color on the light, which really helps if you're struggling with getting the correct color to show up on your photographs. Now, once again, there is absolutely no need to overcomplicate this. A very well lit room or even just some natural light is all you actually need to photograph the item. The customer doesn't care whether you use umbrella lights, ring lights, a natural light, a well-lit room. They don't care. They just want to see the actual item. So as long as it's displaying your item correctly, there's no need to overcomplicate it. However, if you're interested in the lights I use or anything else that I talk about in this video, there is a link in the pinned comment and the description to everything that I use in my reselling business. Number three, take as many photos as possible. 10 bad photos will sell your item faster than 2 great photos. I think this is a common issue that a lot of resellers face. They end up overthinking the photography process and they end up only taking a few photos because it's taking forever to get the photos correct. Me personally, I find that my customers would rather have a bunch of photos to look at than just 1 or 2 expertly taking photos. The way I like to think about this is I take the photos as the customer would actually look at an item in real life. So take this for example. If I was photographing this, I would want a far away shot because the customer is going to see it far away in a store and want to walk up to it. And then they're going to pick it up and they're going to look maybe at the top. Then they're going to look at it from the side. They're going to want to see the other side. They're going to want to see the bottom. They're going to want to see what kind of port is on the bottom. So I'm going to get a nice close up of that. I'm also going to get a nice close up of any written information that's on it. I'm going to get a close up of the brand on the top. All of that is things that I want to do. I want to cover the far away shots and then anything of detail or importance, I want to get a nice close up of. I want to make sure that I'm photographing all of the different sides from all of the different angles so that the customer feels like they actually had the item in their hand and they were actually able to inspect the item. At the end of the day, the way I look at this is I would rather take too many photos and put too many photos on the listing than not have enough photos for the customer to be able to make the decision whether or not to purchase the item. Did you guys know that I have a Facebook page called Second Chance Picker? I am posting a ton of new content over there. Everything from behind the scenes stuff to new bolo items that you need to be aware about, and even struggles that I'm having with current customers. So, if you want more content, be sure to head over to Facebook and give me a follow over there. The link to my Facebook page is in the pinned comment and the description. Number 4, one by one mode. Now, this isn't as critical as many of the other ones. However, most of us are taking photos on our phone, and your photo setup is most likely something like a 9 by 16. This means that it's kind of more rectangular. On the eBay platform, they put all photos in one by one, so more of a square shape. So if you're using a phone, it's pretty simple to go in and change your photo setup to one by one. This makes sure that you're going to use the complete size that eBay is using. So you can fit that whole item in that complete square when you're taking the photo. And then when you upload it to eBay, eBay puts it in there and there's no border, there's no white walls, there's nothing that's distracting from the actual item. This doesn't make a huge difference. However, it does make your item look a little bit more professional, your listing look a little bit more professional, and you're able to know the exact size when you're taking the photo so you can fit the complete item within the whole frame. Number 5, display the whole item on the first photo. I do not make any adjustments or edits to my photos. It just simply takes too much time and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. However, the first photo is the exception to that rule. I will adjust the lighting. I will adjust anything I need to on that very first photo because that's the photo that's going to convert to the customer. And this includes displaying the full item on that first photo. So whether it's something that's in a new open box or whether it's a video game, I want to remove everything outside of the packaging and take a complete photo of exactly what is included in the listing. So for me, for video games, I actually remove the disc and I remove the manual and I put the disc in one of these little disc holders. I set the manual next to it and the case behind it. This shows the customer when they're scrolling through that they're not only getting the disc, but they're getting the manual and the case. They don't have to guess. They don't have to open the listing and look and see if the manual is included or what the disc looks like that's included. They get to see it all from the first photo. And this goes for anything that's new open box or just open box in general or even a used item. I want to make sure that I'm taking all the different pieces and displaying them so that it's clear from the very first photo exactly what that customer is going to get. Number 6, point out any flaws. When photographing items, we want to be as transparent as possible about the condition of the item. If there's a stain, if there's a flaw, if something's broken or missing from the item, I want to make sure that I include it in the listing. Now, we all know that eBay buyers cannot and will not actually read the listing, the description, or the seller condition notes. So instead, we have to create a picture book for them. So if there is any kind of flaw or any kind of issue with any item that I'm photographing, I want to actually point it out. That means that I actually take a photo of a close-up of the flaw and I'm actually pointing at it in the photo. This shows the buyer when they're scanning through the photos, oh, there's a finger there, let me see what they're pointing at. And they actually take a second and they notice that stain, they notice that cracked screen, they notice whatever the flaw is that we're pointing to. They're more likely to actually see it if we actually point to it. Number 7, take measurements. This is absolutely critical for clothing. If you're listing any kind of clothing, jackets, shirts, pants, shorts, anything like that, you absolutely have to take measurements so that the buyer knows how the sizing works. However, this also translates to many other different categories, even things like collectibles. Oftentimes the buyer wants to know the size. So even when I'm taking hard good photos, I just have one of these rulers really handy here and I'll just drop it down and take 1 or 2 photos with the measurements there. It gives the customer an idea of what the size is. Now, I always add a little brief note in my description that the measurements are not exact and they are just an estimate. Because I actually ended up with a buyer that opened an INAD claiming that the measurement was off. He ended up measuring it from a different location and showing that it was 1 inch difference than what I had shown, and he complained and returned the item. This isn't going to prevent all the INADs, but I do like to include it in my description, just a brief note saying that the measurements are not exact and that they're just provided as an estimate. Number 8, shoot similar items. So for me as an everything seller, I am selling everything. I'm selling jeans, I'm selling t-shirts, jackets, shoes, I'm selling video games, electronics, cameras, kitchen appliances. I will sell anything. However, when I'm photographing, I want to make sure that I'm doing it in different types of categories. So if I'm photographing shirts, I want to stick with all the shirts. If I'm photographing jeans, I'm going to stay with jeans. Shoes, I'm going to only photograph shoes. If I'm doing hard goods or video games, I'm going to focus in on just photographing those items. The reason being, this allows me to speed up my process. The last thing I want to do is take a photo of a pair of jeans, switch my photo setup, and take a photo of a video game, and then switch back to take some photos of some shirts. I want to lay out my process in a way that it's fast and easy for me to photograph. The other advantage to this is that I know exactly what photos I need to take and in what order I need to take. I can kind of get into a flow. So if I'm taking photos of video games, I know I pop the disc out, take the manual out, display it. I take that photo. I take the next photo of the inside of the case. I take it closed, the front, the back, and that's all done. And I can kind of just get in the groove of taking these photos and knowing exactly how to photograph and what to actually take the photos of. This just helps me speed up my process. Number 9, no more than 5 at a time. This kind of goes hand in hand with the last one. I never want to be photographing more than 5 items before I start actually listing the items. I have found that if I focus too much on taking as many photos of different items as I can and end up with like say 20 or 30 items that are photographed and I sit down to start doing the listings, I have to start looking at the photos again and trying to guess what the flaw was, what the brand was, what the size was, all of those different things. Where if I stick to 5 and under, I can take the photos of the 5 different items, I can come sit down on the computer and I can list those items without ever really having to look at the photos. I can remember the flaw, I can remember the size, I can remember the different colors or however I need to describe the item. I remember all of those details because I just touched it as I was taking those photos. I never want to end up having to sit and shift through all my photos to try to figure out what I'm actually listing. I like to have it fresh on my mind. It just helps me speed up my process. Number 10, move fast and stop overthinking it. This is something that a lot of us tend to do. We want to take the best photos possible, so we go nice and slow, we get the right angle, we're trying to adjust the lighting, we're trying to make sure that it's in focus, we're trying to make sure that we get everything just right. And the truth is that a ton of good photos is going to sell faster than a few expertly taken photos. So just take more. Move fast, but take as many as possible. Make sure you have that clean background. Make sure you have good lighting. Make sure you're in focus, but there's no need to overthink it or overcomplicate it. Use your cell phone, use a white sheet of paper, use some natural light. It doesn't matter. As long as it displays the item clearly and shows any condition flaws, the photos are doing its job. Take more photos, have a clean background and good solid lighting, and your photos on your listing will be in the top 5% of all the photos on the eBay platform. Now that we've covered those 10 tips, let's go take a quick look at my photo setup. All right, so over here, this is currently set up to take photos of clothing. I have a 4-foot by 4-foot sheet of plywood that just has a gray blanket that is stapled to it. And then I have my 2 lights on each side, which gives it really good lighting. And then down here, I have just a 2x4 that I've clamped to the table here. That is the edge. That is what's holding this board from sliding out. And this is all just sitting on a collapsible camp table. I have all the items that I need when I'm taking photos of clothing here. So I have my lint roller, I have my pair of scissors for any loose strands, and I have a fabric shaver. I also have my lights here so I can adjust any lighting. And this board is just resting right on this 2x4 and then it's pushed up against the wall here. And I can kind of adjust this in or out just depending on if the item is super slippery. I might have to pull the table out even a little bit more to get a flatter angle. But the majority of the time, most items can just go right onto this. Back here, I do actually have to have some weight on the table. This helps the table from sliding out because that board is pushing against that 2x4 there, and then it's just resting on the wall over here. So if I don't have some weight here, it's gonna flip that table right over. So I just put the weights back here. And then when I go to switch to a hards good mode, the only thing I have to do is pull the weights out from behind here. I take the whole gray background and I push it up against the wall there, and I push the table up against the wall. I remove the clamps, I remove the wood, and I set some sheets of white poster board right up against it all. The other nice thing about using the table here is that I can store 2 bins right underneath here, and those are the bins that I bring items in. So I'll bring a bin full of items in, and as I list those items, it goes into this other bin, and then I can pull that out and store it in my garage, and it's all set to go. And now, as you can see, I'm set up to take photos of hard goods. So this will actually fit a full golf club right on there, so I can take golf clubs and baseball bats. I can really take photos of almost any hard good on this setup here, but the majority of the time I'm just going to use one side here, and it's just some sheets of white poster board. I like it because a lot of times you'll end up with some marks and stuff from shoes and whatnot. It's super cheap and easy just to change out these sheets. I just lay them against here, and I had just pushed that table completely against the wall and moved the weights from behind it and removed the board and the clamps. This is a super easy setup, super cheap, and I love the fact that it's easy to pack up. The lights fold up, the table folds up, the paper can be put away. Everything is easily able to be packed away if I need the space inside this room. If you're looking to purchase any of the things, there is a link in the pinned comment and the description. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you're going to love this one. So go ahead and give it a click.